So now we'll do the same question using the direct one, actually the ratio of distances that is traveled in n intervals. So we know that the ratio is 1 is to 3 is to 5 is to 2 is to 2n minus 1, which means that the Sn minus 1 by Sn as given in the question would be of the form 2n minus 1 by 2n minus 2n minus 3 by 2n minus 1. And since it is given in the question that n is equal to 10, we can just substitute the value. And what do we get? 20 minus 3 by 20 minus 1, 17 by 19, which is equal to 1 minus 2 by x as given in the question. And therefore, we can directly compare the value here and say that the value of x is equal to 19. So yes, very straightforward question. Now, if definitely you can approach this. But what I would suggest is, it is equally important to understand how to arrive at this ratio, right? So let's have a look at that as well. So we know that this given motion is starting from rest, therefore this term eliminates. What we have is s is equal to half at square. Now what is s equal to half at square? S is the distance traveled in t seconds. Now what if I'm interested in finding out the distance traveled in the first interval, not the first second, the first interval, which means we have t is equal to 0 to t is equal to 1t, this as the first interval, and let me name that as AB. Okay, so what will be distance traveled in the first interval? It would be distance traveled in the first interval would be distance traveled from t is equal to 0 to t is equal to 1t, which is s1 minus s0, which is half at square minus half a into 0 square. Why? Because we know that s is equal to half at square, and for 1t it would be t, and for s0 it would be 0, right? Now what I wanted to do is, I would request you to write this down along with me for one time, just for one time, and things will become really clear to you. No, don't write down the next the other steps that I'm going to show you. No, just write down this with me. And if you can, if you're learning for the first time, then I would say if you can write down all the steps, these things for just one time, and things will become permanent to you. Then you don't, in the visualization part, all these things will become really clear to you if you write down the complete steps. Well, anyway, that's just a suggestion. Now let us see what is the distance traveled in the second interval. So for better clarity, let me just erase out all the other time readings here. So this is the second interval, which varies from t is equal to 1t to t is equal to 2t, right? And we'll also mark these values. So let us call this as A, B, and C. So what is the distance traveled in? What is the distance traveled in the first interval? It's not the first, it should be second, right? This is the second interval. Okay, so what is the distance traveled in the second interval? From the figure, it is BC, this distance BC. How will you find out BC? BC would be sorry, my bad, yeah. So BC would be from the figure AC, right? AC minus AB, right? So I can write down BC as AC minus AB, right? Now what is AB? Sorry, what is AC? AC is the distance traveled in t is equal to 2t. What is AB? AB is the distance traveled in t is equal to 1t. So we have s2t minus st. But what is s? S in this question is half at square, and therefore what is 2t will be half a into 2t square. What is st would be half a into t square. So what we get is 4t square minus t square, and therefore distance traveled in the second interval will be equal to half a into 3t square. All right, pause this, go through this one more time, make sure you write it on your own, and let's also go to another step, which is the distance traveled in third interval. So let me just erase out the other time intervals for you. So this is the third interval, and what is the distance? The distance traveled is, say this is A, this is B, C, and t. So the distance traveled is CD, right? And how can you write down geometrically CD? The distance traveled is CD, and CD can be written as AD minus AC. What is AD? AD from the figure is this distance AD, which is traveled in 3t. So I can write this as distance traveled in 3t minus what is AC? AC would be the distance traveled in 2t. So I can write this distance traveled in 3t minus 2t. But what is S? S is equal to S is equal to half AT square, and therefore this would be S3t would be, instead of t, 3t square, 3 to the whole square minus, my bad, this is not t, this should be 2t the whole square, right? So what we get is 9t square minus 4t square, which is 5t square. So the distance traveled in the third interval would be equal to half a into 5t square. Okay. Now, likewise, what would be the distance traveled in the n minus 1th interval? So in the n minus 1th interval, we have the distance traveled being equal to distance traveled from n minus 2 to n minus 1, right? So if I write here maybe A, E, and F. So what is the distance? Distance traveled is EF, and what is EF from the figure equal to? It is equal to AF minus AE. What is AF? Geometrically, this much distance is AF. What is AE? This much distance. So what is AE corresponding to? N minus 2. AF corresponds to N minus 1. So we have AF, which is SN. Okay, excuse me for the image being blurred here. I'm not sure why it happened. Okay, anyway, so AF is Sn minus 1. AE is Sn minus 2. So half n minus 1 square minus half an minus 2 square. N minus 1 square minus n minus 2 square. What we get is 2n minus 3. So distance traveled in n minus 1th interval would be half a into 2n minus 3. Now, I hope you can write this on your own. So maybe you can just follow with this with me. I'm not gonna, read out things here. You can just write it down with me. So we have A, right? F and G. So distance traveled here is, which is equal to minus, what is AG? Sn. What is AF? Minus 1. So what is Sn? Half an square. And when you solve this, what you get? N square minus n square is 0. So what we get is 2n minus 1. So what is distance traveled in the nth interval? Distance traveled in the nth interval is half a into 2n minus 1. If that is the case, then we can say that distance traveled in the first interval is half at square into 1. Distance traveled in the second interval is half at square into 3. Distance traveled in the third interval is half at square into 5. Half at square into 2n minus 3. And half at square into 2n minus 1. So, if you take the respective ratios, what you get is 1 is to 3 is to 5 is to 2n minus 1 is to 2n minus 3 is to 2n minus 1. This is how we arrive at the formula. And now if we apply the given condition here, Sn minus 1 by Sn will be 2n minus 3 by 2n minus 1. And as we discussed, we have n is equal to 10. What we get is x equal to 19. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I think there are one or two questions which are similar to this. We'll may come to this. So please make sure that you write down this question one time, right, in its totality, and then once you do multiple questions, things will become more clear and you'll be able to do it more swiftly. Okay.